Hello, Julie. How are you?
I'm sorry. I'm doing well. Sorry about my stupid phone.
Oh, was that your fault then?
Is this the first argument we're going to have? Then no, it was not my phone.
No. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're with us regardless. Thank you for coming on the program, and thank you for the birthday wishes.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Yeah, it's as you get older, it's not quite like when I turned 16 or 18 or 21 or anything like that. But I appreciate that. My son is getting ready to turn 16 a week from now, so he is already like in full anticipatory mode, right? I know.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of overshadowing things. I get it.
Just a little bit, but that's okay. So I do appreciate the birthday wishes. So we might be going to McDonald's for my birthday dinner tonight. I don't know.
Fancy.
We're just that type of family. And we live in a small town, so we don't have a ton of choices out there. And McDonald's apparently is changing their menu all around, right?
Oh, yes. Desperate, flailing around. McDonald's, look, it's not as popular as it used to be. They've been struggling over the years to create a new identity. And look, consumers, they want more information about what they're eating. Everyone's a foodie. Everyone wants to eat clean. And so, all these sort of catchphrases. People are really into looking at labels, and food manufacturers are scrambling to kind of capture this market. And look, McDonald's is known for one thing: hamburgers and French fries. They are not a place you go when you're dieting or when you're looking for health food. And so they are struggling with this. I think as a corporation, they are struggling with this and trying to figure out who they are.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if I can help them in any way, but they're the place where you get cheap fast food. I mean, is there anything wrong with that, Julie?
No, I think it would be refreshing if someone in their marketing department would actually sort of key into that and start celebrating that. I mean, look, I don't even think McDonald's says you should eat here every day. But there was a documentary that came out a couple years ago. I don't even want to mention it because I think this guy is he's a complete charlatan. And I don't think he was accurate in what he did. But he ate fast food every day and then showed how awful it was that he lived on this diet. And then a couple years later, another guy did another documentary where he too ate every meal at McDonald's, but he made reasonable choices on the menu, and he walked a couple miles a day, and he was fine. His health did not deteriorate. And so I think sometimes especially people like me who write about nutrition, who follow these issues, it's a big no duh that you're gonna not your health isn't going to do so well if you're eating like a high fat, high calorie, high salt, all this stuff meal every single day. But unfortunately, McDonald's is trying to sort of play both sides. It's trying to, as you mentioned, they're changing their menu, and they've recently announced that they're going to stop using preservatives and other things. And I mean, these are all nice gestures, but the bottom line, they're still serving French fries and hamburgers. So, I think this is just a symbol of a corporation that doesn't really understand its own identity.
Yes, but I also wonder, too, if you're not allowed, if there's some sort of, I don't want to say not allowed, because it's not like there's a law against being the, place for cheap fast food, but culturally. I remember a few years ago, I think it was Hardee's Carl Jr. that decided to sort of embrace the fact that they were fast food and come get big burgers that are going to get all over your face, right?
Right.
Yeah. And just sort of saying we are who we are, right?
Right.
And embracing that. I don't know if you're, again, culturally allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, you've also got Chipotle, which I mean, we all know the story of Chipotle, where it claimed it was so much better than fast food. I mean, the bottom line is they're 1,000-calorie burritos, high in fat. They are not health food. they're not particularly good for you, but because they say, oh, we use chicken without growth hormones, which, by the way, that's not legal in the United States to put growth hormones in chicken. So they would use these marketing terms, like no chicken that's sold in America has growth hormones. It's just not legal. But they would use these like phrases to catch people and to get people really excited. And then they would say, oh, there's no, we don't use GMO this or that, and we don't, our pork doesn't get, all these catchphrases. Meanwhile, they weren't cleaning their shops, and everyone was getting sick. And so Chipotle is now having a really hard time turning this around and getting consumer confidence back. And so, I think that these corporations in this day and age, when people are so concerned about health and they're getting a million different messages every day. Just the other day, a new study has come out that says, don't worry about carbs. It's actually meat that's killing you. So for the last, decade or so, everybody's been dropping carbs, and now the pendulum is swinging, and now it's meat that's killing everyone. Millions of Americans have lost weight by dropping, some amount of carbs and eating a higher protein meal, and now they're being told the opposite is true. And so I think I think not only are consumers and regular Americans like you and me struggling to figure out, what is the best way to eat. Again, corporations are struggling too, and that's why we're seeing this sort of schizophrenic sort of operating process from these companies where they're throwing out, hey, we don't use hormones, hey, we don't use antibiotics, hey, we drop preservatives. They're just trying to find a place in this new sort of culture.
Yes, where things that have never been made with gluten are now advertised as gluten-free.
Yeah, exactly.
And, right? Yeah,
the major cranberry. I'm blanking on the name. The major
Ocean
cranberry
Spray?
juice producer. What?
Ocean Spray?
Ocean Spray. Yeah, they recently put on their labels like GMO free. Well, there's not any such thing as a GMO cranberry. It's just these companies using these marketing to try to grab this particular niche in the marketplace, and it's really misleading. It's really wrong of them to do it. But again, McDonald's is ultimately, they're a place you go to get cheap, delicious, high-calorie food. When they finally begin admitting that, not only to themselves but to their customers, I think, and stop messing with the menu, I think they'll probably see sales kind of stabilize.
I think they will. I think there's some other issues, but first of all, delicious may be a little strong. Okay, this might be our first argument. I'm not going to go with delicious. But
okay, you're crazy.
Unless we're talking about the
crazy.
fries.
You're obviously. Are you drunk on your birthday? It's delicious. Are you drunk already? It is delicious.
I am not drunk on my birthday. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's delicious. And you're such a food snob. It's delicious. Everyone knows it. Even Michael Pollan probably secretly, like at midnight, goes through a drive-through, and gets McDonald's, and he's sitting like in the parking lot going, "This is delicious."
The fries are good. The burgers are, delicious is a high bar.
Delicious.
They're tasty.
Delicious.
I've probably eaten several thousand
I'm sorry.
of them.
I said it's your birthday, and I'm going to let you win.
Right.
You're correct.
I'm right.
Delicious is too much of a word.
Thank you.
You need to be more precise.
And I probably will not be going to the Chipotle burger place. What's that?
Oh, heck no.
Tasty Made, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. There's so many jokes that could be made from that name, but it's not anywhere I'm planning on going either.
So I'm curious. These dueling studies that come out, and every week, something else. Meat's bad for you, sugar's bad for you, meat's good for you, sugar's good for you. Is this part of what you call the culture of alarmism? Where we're always on edge, right? Because we don't know what the next study is going to say. How do we eat right? And then we're just kind of freaked out about the food that we're putting into our bodies. Yeah,
look, nutrition science is a total train wreck. You can't force feed people. We're not French geese ready to be made into foie gras. Like, you can't stick a tube down our throat and force feed us and then analyze how our bodies have reacted. We are humans. We lie about what we eat. We want to appear, like if we're in a study, we lie to the researchers. So the data that comes out of these research studies that have to do with nutrition, if they involve humans, they're just not reliable. And so you get these studies that show these correlations that may or may not be reliable. And then, of course, the media loves this. I mean, what media outlet doesn't love a headline that says meat is killing you, right? And the next week they're going to go pasta is killing you. And then the next week they're going to go fruit is killing you. I mean, it's just better to ignore these things. Now, what's sad is there actually might be some good research being done, but they get mixed in with all the crappy headlines, and so no one really knows. So, I always say this, look, ignore what you read in the media and just talk to your doctor. They're really good at sifting through this. I mean, as long as you've got a good doctor, they're really good at sifting through this and giving you advice based on your body type and your nutritional needs.
Just make sure that you don't go to a doctor who, is also a cattle rancher, because he'll probably tell you just be eating more meat. Have you tried T-bones? I can get you a good deal.
That might be a problem out west.
Right? Or, even here in Central Virginia, I know some cattle I don't actually know any cattle farmers / doctors, though, now that I think about it. So just know cattle farmers. But they, too, are very encouraging. They think this whole meat study is nonsense. Keep eating cows.
It's nonsense.
Matter of fact, they'd like to see the price of beef go up a little bit so that more people, they could actually make some money off of their cows. But that's an entirely different subject. So we've got just a couple minutes left here, but I wanted to let you know, we just had on the program Rick Hector, Rick's Farm Academy of Detroit. This past weekend, Julie, they put on a free gun course in Taylor, Michigan, outside of Detroit. They had, and it was just for women, had 417 women show up for this course.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Right? I thought, I know you and I talk quite a bit about women and firearms, and this is something that IWF is, I think, taking a big interest in. And I'm curious. I mean, are you surprised to see that number based on conversations that you have with your friends? No?
Not a bit. Look, I talk to people all the time, and on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, and I live in a very liberal area, so I obviously talk daily to Democrats, and everybody's freaked out. Look, this election year is freaking people out. I think the people on the left and right are equally freaked out. I think there's a lot of insecurity out there, and I think that people are starting to feel like, look, I'm just, I might not, crime is down, okay, I give you that, but I don't feel like the right people are in charge. And so I get the sense that people really want the ability to take care of themselves, to be more independent. And especially, I think this is true, especially for women who feel a real duty to their children and take care of their homes. And so I'm not surprised one bit. I know this drives the left crazy and certain interest groups that want to tell women that you're too stupid to hold a gun. But women want to know how to protect themselves, how to safely use firearms. I'm not surprised by this at all. I think it's fantastic.
I'm glad to hear you say that, and I think that you're absolutely right. I think that again, there was a story we saw yesterday of Birmingham, Alabama, a woman at home 2 years ago. She had decided to purchase a firearm, had never made it to the range, had never gone out to shoot it, but a guy broke into her home. She's 5 months pregnant, and he ripped out the air conditioner and walked, went in through the window, and she used her gun for the very first time to defend herself. And, she was talking to the local media, and she was saying, you have to be able to do this. I'm so glad that I had a gun there, that I was able to protect myself. And I just thought to myself, here's a story that the national media will never cover. It's a pretty compelling story, right? Young woman, pregnant, defends herself from a intruder. But this will continue to be a local crime story because the national media is not interested in covering stories like this. They're not interested in showing gun owners like this.
National media tells women to dial 911 and hope someone gets there in time. And then they will tell them that if they do have a firearm, they are this more likely and that more likely, and they're going to harm themselves and someone else is going to harm them. The stories just keep going to discourage women. Now, look, I want to tell women, look, we are living in safe times. We're living in good times. But you should trust your instincts. If you don't feel good and safe and you think you need to take care of yourself, you should learn to operate a firearm correctly. And these events, like you mentioned, the one in Michigan, that is a great story, and more women should have access to these kinds of training opportunities.
Absolutely. Julie, listen, we are unfortunately out of time, but thank you very much for coming on the program, and look forward to doing this again soon. Thank you very much.